This Sunday. Every Sunday, side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here, relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp at mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrilled to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands with the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. But listen closely.
Not for very much longer.
And you've found out that you've tuned into Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only automotively, furtively vetted car show on this island with your hosts, Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. Chris is dancing like you can't believe. He's all over the place, bouncing off the walls. How are you, Chris?
1978 called. They want their music back.
They can't have it. Because you know why? Yes, we're going to do the time warp again. We do it every week here on Motormouth Radio. Let's get ready. Let's get real ready here. All right, it's about as Irish as this Italian goomba gets.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
I got my festive hat. So I searched for this thing. I had to search long and hard, and I found it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had a long search for that.
It doesn't work with headphones, though, unfortunately.
It's a striped green fedora with green.
It's green plaid.
Huh?
It's just green plaid.
Yes.
I'll put a picture up. When I post the pictures from this things we talk about in this show, I will include a picture of that so people can see for themselves. And of course,
God for that.
Those will go up on social media, which is Motormouth Radio on Instagram, not on Instagram, on Twitter or X and Facebook. And on Instagram, it's real_Motormouth Radio.
Right.
Also, the show will be up on YouTube on Motormouth Video a little later today. Check that out if you want to see for yourselves, and you can call us at 516-572-7440, or you can text at...
Yes, you can text us at 203-670-4127 right here in the Motormouth Radio Nutmeg State Studios.
Excellent. Very good. So, a lot going on. With this week, we had I don't even know where to begin. I want to talk to you about a bunch of things.
Yeah, so do I. I got a bunch of things to chat about as well.
Let me set the theme for the show. And I was talking to our good friend Bob from the Olds Club about this, and he agreed. And also our good friend Billy Velvet agreed with me as well.
Okay.
It's St. Patrick's weekend, right? Spring starts in 2 days. We have spring awaiting us. Not to get philosophical or religious or anything, but it all kind of keys in. I thought of it the other night as I was going to bed, and I said, it is a time of rebirth. It really is. The grass growing. I'm seeing trees sprouting already. Everything's going to turn green. And maybe
the whole main idea of spring in general, I'm getting it.
Yeah, and maybe in your life it's time to clean up some stuff, clean up a room. I'm going to try and do some cleaning out and get rid of some garbage. And
spring cleaning, what a concept!
I know, I just invented it. I'm going to give somebody else credit for it. And then go a little deeper. Car guys. Listen, yes, car guys.
I know. I love when we get deep, Ray.
Well, this is where listen. It harkens back to when my hair was long and my thoughts were short. Now
your hair was short.
Yeah.
You were something. So
now it's the opposite. But I will say that now, car guys, maybe get out there and clean out the garage to get to your car. Take the pool toys off the top of it. Get the rakes and garden implements out of there, if that's what it takes. Or in the case of maybe a project that was started and not finished, well, now maybe it's a time to look at it with with a new set of eyes and say, hey, just stand back and do this and say, do I want to drive this car?
Or sell it.
Or sell it. Right. And then take a step to go to meet those ends, either to sell it or to work on it. So with Bob...
So in other words, poop or get off the pot.
Yeah, kind of. In Bob's case, I said to him, he's got a couple cars that he wants to refurbish and get back together. He has more than he'll be able to restore because he's collected a few. So he may opt to sell a couple. Great. Okay. And I volunteered to help him work on a couple because if I can help a friend get that thing going, same with Brian, our good friend Macho Man Brian. He's got a Mustang project that he's been kind of sitting on the back burner for a while now, and right. I'm trying to get him going too because let's face it, they're not making more days. The calendar isn't adding pages at the end. Every time I look, they're going away. And of course, Billy Velvet, he's just buying more cars, so his. And he's having his
God love him.
So
that's great.
Let's use this time and the rebirth of spring to kind of get involved with, and like in your case, you want to sell a car, Oh
well, yeah. The Mitsu is gone, and that was definitely the reason because, like you say, the calendar isn't getting any longer. So I had to evaluate and say, well, how much time do I have? Let me see all the projects that I have in store for me that are more immediate, that are more pressing. Uh-huh. And I just said, no, I can't do it all. I have to let one of them go.
Right.
And wouldn't you know it? And I think you go through this as well. Just taking this on to a little side road. But I've always noticed that there's always one time of the year where you cannot rely on the entire fleet of cars you have.
That's true.
And this was one of those times. It was right after I sold the Mitsu. Uh-huh. So all I have left now is the Tracker, of course, my police car, my wife's Mazda, and I have the Chrysler. And I remember this time last year, I think it was, or maybe it was getting a little warmer, that all the cars were down and I was using the Chrysler as a parts getter.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Literally, I was throwing tires in the back of the trunk of the Chrysler, taking it over, getting the tires done, and then I was running over to the parts store and picking up parts for it. It turned into my parts getter.
Sure.
Because everything else was down. Well, this week was the same way. So I totally understand. Yeah. Sometimes that car that you're planning on selling may be a car you may need.
It happens. It really does. It does, right? So that's good thing. I want to tell you I spent. Here's something else that I recommend people do if they have the ability to. Spend some time with your car friends, and not just, we all spend time with friends. We do things, but I mean, maybe a little one-on-one time.
Why?
Oh, come on. Case in point, I was able to spend a full day with our buddy Billy Velvet this week.
It must have been a joy. Come on.
It was. Let me tell you.
I'm telling you. No, I would love that. I wish I was there.
Yeah. And we wish you were there too. It would have been great. He had to drop off his car, one of his cars, to have some work done at a shop at North Point Collision. Really nice, high-end shop. Does a lot of really cool cars. So
when you and Billy walked into the shop, what was the response?
Well, Bill was already there. I met him there. So, and his buddy Gerard knows him very well, so he's,
Come on, I wanted to see the hugs. I wanted to see the accolades. I wanted to see the red carpet get rolled out. Yeah. And the trumpets, my God.
Yeah, the trumpets.
The trumpets must have been going up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he had to leave his car there to have some work done, and then he asked me if I could give him a ride back to Queens, and there was an ulterior motive. Bill and I have been talking about, he's heard me talking about wanting to change the front tires on my Pontiac. I want to get more of a sidewall on the but I don't just have wheels and tires I can pull out of the air and mount and throw on the car. So Bill said, look, I got two sets of tires mounted. He had a set of 235 75 15s on a set of torque thrust rims that was on his Nova, and he has a set of thick wheel, a set of 205 maybe 205 60 15s on another set of wheels on like some Chevy Rally wheels. So he said, listen, when you drive me home, he goes, bring a vehicle, and I'll give you the set of wheels. You take them back, and you can, try. So I did, loaded them in the FJ, and it ended up, I'll put those pictures up. The 235s, I said, Bill, I don't think this is going to work, because I don't think the tire is going to clear the back of the fender. That's why I always had trouble on that car. And sure enough, I jacked the car up, and I went to put that wheel in, and nope. And I kind of tucked it under and I couldn't even get it in. So I said, but that's okay, because at least now I know what doesn't fit.
Right.
So now I backtrack from there. So, okay, put those in the truck. We hung out in the garage a little bit, and we went to Utopia Bagels and had these great, had a great lunch at Utopia Bagels, which is legendary in Queens.
Right.
So now we're back at the house and hanging, and then I happen to bring a couple of my Primo Churchill length stogies. I said, would you like to have a stogie? And he says, oh, sure. So we light up, and he says, hey, why don't we go in the back, sit at the table? It took me back to when I hung with Frank Dominiani in the back of High Speed, where when he was carving the provolone cheese with his buck knife. I thought I was in Palermo. So here we are in Bill's backyard, and he says, listen, would you like something to drink? And I said, yeah, I kind of knew where he went. Well, Billy had the scotch. I was drinking amaretto.
I thought he had like a Chianti or something.
Oh, we're sitting there drinking and smoking and talking cars.
Wow.
And I had it mentally in my head said, well, okay, I got to watch the clock, because I know once we start getting towards 3 o'clock, I got to get out of here for traffic purposes.
Sure.
Well, Bill's brother walks over. We talk to him. 3 comes and goes. I'm like, okay, now I got to really watch. 5 o'clock. Now, of course, we had the time change, so now it's light. And
right.
So
now you're looking at like 6 and 7.
Well, no, now it's 5 o'clock. And I said, hey, Bill, guess what? I said, I'm staying for a while. I said, I'm not going anywhere. I got to hang now until after. He goes, great. You want to get pizza? Well, I have dinner. I'm like, yes. So we go down to 150th Avenue, Freddy's Pizza. Oh my God! The pizza that we got from there was phenomenal. Just cracked in half like it was glass. Oh, delicious! So we had great pizza from Freddy's, and then hung a little while longer, and then I went home and all was done. But
your wife was like, "Where you been?"
She knew where I was, and I let her know what I was doing. Yeah, there was an idea. But the point was to spend a day with a friend.
Agreed.
And you eat, you drink, you smoke, whatever you want to do. You want to play marbles, play marbles. But we talk cars pretty much all day. I said, Bill, we did a couple radio shows here. This is like...
I'm sure you did.
It was... So now the tires didn't fit. Now I have to go back. I want to borrow his other ones. I'm going to borrow those 205s and see what happens with those. I'll see if they fit better, and I'll know.
It's funny because I was on a YouTube site, a YouTube video that was talking about tire size, because I too had to get a set of tires for the Explorer. Now, I didn't want to just get any set of tires for that car. I wanted to find like police tires, like a Goodyear RSA.
Oh, yeah. Or good tire.
What are the others? Ultra Grip, Goodyear Ultra Grips.
Okay.
They came with those cars, and that's what's on there now.
Right.
Well, those prices are insane for tires. So I figured, I'll put a set of used tires on it.
Sure.
So that's what I did. Start shopping around used tires. Even those were a lot of money. But I ended up finding a set of Goodyear Enforcers.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to hang on the car. But what was nice was I was looking at the video, and the video was talking about tire sizes. And what was the biggest tire you can get under that wheel well without it rubbing? Mm-hmm. And the tires that are on the car are 245, 55 R18s.
Okay.
And the ones that could fit, which I was like, oh, I really would love to find a size. Was a 255 or 260, 60 R18.
Okay, so that's 12. That is a 12 sidewall.
It was, and it literally fit perfectly, as you saw in the guy who was making the video had the Explorer with those tires on it.
Right.
And boy, I love when a tire completely takes over a wheel well. I really get a charge out of it. That where the tire doesn't rub, but it fits perfectly in there. And when you look at the tires on the cop cars, they don't. They kind of are a little bit smaller, and you still have a little bit. Who is it that said you can get a cat up in there? Was it?
Steve Magnante, Dead Cat Storage.
Magnante. that was it. Dead cat storage is right in there. You can see that there's a lot of air between the top of the inner wheel well and the top of the bottom of the inner wheel well and the top of the tire.
Well, the thing is, if you have a normally sprung car, you need that for the suspension compliance.
Yeah.
In my case, like my car, it's like pushing on the desk. It doesn't move. But so I took those 235s and I said, you know what? I sent Bill a text and showed him it didn't work. He was, how about on the back? I took a rear tire off and stuck them under the back. I said, now this is probably the size I should have on the rear, because I have a 275/50 17, and I can maybe get my fingers between the tire and the wheel well. With Bill's tires, I could put my whole hand in there. I said, this is what I need not to rub. But again, I just bought those tires about a year ago. I'm not gonna go buy another set of tires. But
no, well, you could at least flip them.
Yeah,
because that's what I'm planning on doing, even with the tires that I'm taking off the car, because they're so expensive, these Ultra Grips, that I figured I'll put them up for a couple of bucks and see if anybody needs them.
I got to tell you something else that's going on this weekend. It seems like the South came north this weekend. It ends up, my daughter and her fiance and his brother came up for a party yesterday that we all attended. So it's good to see them. I'll get to see her when I get home. Hi, Lauren. She's listening. And Kenny Wessel, Wrenching with Kenny. He's up. He's a New Yorker who now lives in North Carolina, and he's back up here this weekend. So for some family stuff, and of course I invited him in the studio, but he couldn't make it. So we'll get Kenny back in another time. Again, Wrenching with Kenny. If you want to see a guy, does a YouTube channel, that's the name of it, who's an average. Let me rephrase that. He's an above average mechanic, but he's an average guy. And he, when he films his stuff, he says, look, I don't do the fast forwards, I don't do the cuts or the edits, because I show you when I make mistakes. Because
this is great.
We all make mistakes. Because I've been doing this a long time, and I screw things up too. So you want to talk about an honest wrenching channel? Check out Wrenching with Kenny on YouTube, and you'll see that he's right.
I've come to realize in the last week or so, I had to do some work on my car, and I can't tell you, Ray, how the most important tools other than a shop rag are the long pliers and the long, thin screwdriver.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because there's so little room to get in there that, well, let me give you, can I give you the headline? Let me give you the headline first.
Please.
While chasing a leak, I lost 3 of my best nuts.
Oh, jeez. 3 of them, huh?
3 of them.
Wow.
Lost 3 of them.
Oh, boy.
Now, mind you, the leak was caused by a clogged cowl vents. They were clogged.
Oh, yeah.
But in order to get at them, I had to pull the windshield wipers off the Explorer. I had to get the cowl off, but it was like a clamshell. You had the top portion that had the vents in it. That came off. And then there was a bottom portion that was like a tray.
Yeah.
Now, that had to come off. But, of course, that thing has got 2 white plastic clips holding onto it that when you simply pry them, simply is the key word there, they break.
Right.
But now the clip is like a stem with a V off it. So that's when you push it down, it locks into place. Well, of course, you pop that and one of those V's breaks. And now when you go to put it back on, now it's rattling around.
Right.
So I said, you know what'll work? I said, I got a couple of press nuts.
You need a Matco clip. You need a Matco clip removal tool.
Well, I have one. I have a clip. I don't have a Matco one, but I have a clip removal.
Oh, okay.
And that's what broke them.
Yeah, you know what? When there is a point where they just, a lot of times the guys who know when they're doing like an interior job will order those. Or actually in the shop, like even in our shop in Oceanside, we have this display in the wall that's all the boxes with all the different clips in them. So you can, because they do break.
There's that shop Eagle Paint on Hempstead Turnpike that still has it. If this
sure, yeah, all the paint and body shops, right?
Yeah, and I used to stare at that wall like, this is awesome. So some of these clips are I guess you could say designed to fail once you try to remove them. And I'm sure if I could have gotten a pair of needle nose pliers in there to squeeze those 2 tanks together to try to slide it out, it would have worked just fine. But because I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was in store for. Well, I found out. So anyway, I tried to slide the press nut. One of them, it was right at that point where the master cylinder was. So I had to get 2 fingers. I had to get the press nut on 2 of my fingers to slide it in there and then try and put it up onto the broken clip and then try and turn it with two fingers, like holding them out.
Right.
Which, of course, doesn't work.
No. No, that's tough.
And they would fall into the abyss.
Yeah.
Between the master cylinder and the wiring harness, and it would fall, and you knew it hit the top of the transmission where it disappeared completely. So here I am pulling the tube off the plenum to get that, moving the air filter box away, get that thing out of the way so I can get down in there. And I'm thinking, all I want to do is put my nuts on, Ray.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do.
I know. It gets to be a chore. So I tell you what we will do. We will go to the phones in the fun, and we'll say, hi, caller, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hey, guys, me, Rob. How you doing?
What's up, Rob?
Rob.
All kinds of things. Listen, Chris, you have an Explorer, right?
Yeah.
What year is that Explorer?
2014.
Oh, okay, so it's a much newer one. Okay, because I have a 2002 Explorer. I got a problem. Problem is, inside the dashboard, all right, there's a rattling inside the dashboard on the passenger side. Now, it sounds like, think of you have a plastic ball in a bowl with like high sides and a hole in the middle of the bowl, right? And let's say the ball rocks back and forth inside the bowl, and then like it finds a center and then drops into like, the little hole in the center, and holds it there, right? So imagine what that would sound like, right? Like a rocking, like a rock, and then just stops, right? Like in the center. Well, that's been going on for a couple of years on the right side of the dashboard. Just recently, I'm getting the same noise now on the left side of the dashboard. And for the life of me, it's in there somewhere in the cowl, and I cannot figure it out.
You sure it's not like a wheel bearing or something?
That's probably in there deep is what it is, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Now, when the car's parked at the curb, all right?
Yeah.
If you take the door, let's say you're on the passenger side, you take the door and you slam the door, okay?
Right.
You'll hear in the cowl, like right below the windshield, you'll hear like that. I know.
Rob, do that again, please. I love it.
But seriously, that's exactly what it sounds like. I mean, I can best describe it as you have like a dish, like a deep dish with like a small hole in the middle, and you got a ball inside, like a plastic, thin plastic ball, and rock the dish, and it like runs up the sides of the dish but doesn't come out of the dish, and you'll hear it go
like roulette.
That's hysterical.
Well, have you checked any forums for that, Rob? See if anybody else has reported that?
Yeah, and nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got nothing. You know,
all right.
That's the first thing I did.
Right.
So
now,
I'm looking around. I'm trying to do exploratory surgery. I can't find anything.
Because I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember. I had a early '90s Explorer, but all of that was metal, and now I have this one where it's all plastic. I'm trying to picture the early 2000 ones. Is there a plastic cover on the cowl, or is it metal?
You mean like outside? It's plastic.
Yeah.
Like when you open the hood, you got a plastic cowl cover, right? Now, I've listened down in there. I've had like my wife close the door, so I got my head on top there to listen, and it sounds like it's below the sheet metal, like the inner cowl. Then I get up underneath there, and we do that, and it sounds like it's like beyond the heater box. All right, but if that's not bad enough, now it's happening on the driver's side.
Oh, that's hysterical.
It is hysterical.
You got a loose clip floating around or something.
Loose something, but and now, and I spoke to I had the truck in for something. I don't know what it was, something I couldn't do myself. And I said to the dealer, I said, there's something rocking around in here. And he's like, oh yeah, it's probably a pencil in the glove box. Like, it's not a pencil in a glove box.
No,
right?
You know better than that.
Yeah, so, I told him, right? So after all was said and done, he's like, oh, yeah, we found like something, I don't know, whatever it was, sitting on, in the glove box. Like, genius, it's not in the glove box. So I went and I sat him in the passenger seat. I slammed the door, and I went, and he's like, oh, I don't know what that is. Like, well, that's what I asked you to look for.
Right.
All right, so if you happen to hear of anybody complaining about the same thing, and they did happen to find what it is, let me know, because this one's got me stumped.
Yeah.
That's a stumper. No, here's the thing. If you pull the glove box down and look in there, you look up and in there, you're not going to find anything because it's just a bevy of wires and maybe some ductwork. So
Right.
And if it's the ductwork, whatever's rattling around.
It doesn't quack, so it's not the duck.
It's right. It's gonna fall someplace and settle.
Yeah.
I think it is on the outside cowl, and I bet you, what tree do you have in front of your house? Because I bet you there's some sort of acorn or something like that.
No, we are treeless out front. We're treeless.
That's right. You're in Long Island. There are no trees. No, it's there's got to be. It sounds like it's some sort of organic matter.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking something else. I'm thinking, like Rob said, I can see a ball. I can see exactly what he described.
Yeah, totally.
But like maybe something had a tether on it, like and it was made to close off maybe slowly and quietly, and now that broke, so now it's free to rattle around. That's what my mind is going.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
so, I mean, look, take a golf ball, put it in your cereal bowl, and rock it around. That's exactly what it's doing.
You need, unfortunately, the vehicle isn't old enough, but you need like one of those restoration manuals that gives you the assembly diagrams for the car. Then you might be able to spot something that says, "Aha, that looks like it," and then you'll know, like, you can't get to that until you have the whole car apart. So
it's a built-in tennis ball.
Well, good luck with that, Rob.
Hey,
good luck.
I thought I'd just throw that out there and see if anybody heard anything.
No.
Rob, if you can access the blower motor, I would look there first.
No, but it's on the left side too now, so there's no blower on the left.
I had the blower motor out when the blower motor cooked on me. I had to replace it, so I stuck my hand up in there, and there was nothing up there.
Right.
That's
so that's the first thing I checked.
Well, if we hear anything, we'll let you know, Rob.
I appreciate it, guys. You have a great day.
Thanks, Rob.
Rocking.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. So long.
Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah, that it's kind of funny because those things will drive you nuts. I mean, they now I'll tell you something else. When, like I said, my daughter's up with her fiance, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, how are the vehicles in the fleet hanging in there? Since I'm not down there to watch them like I used to." And he said, I was curious about the Volvo that they have. And he says, yeah, the Volvo's doing good, but there's something with the RAV4 I was going to call you on. I was like, uh-oh. And he described to me a noise that he didn't know what it was, but it kind of comes and goes. And it sounded to me like a wheel bearing noise. And I said, that's exactly how I had done the right side a couple of years ago. I said, that's exactly how my daughter described the noise to me. So I told her yesterday, I said, drive along a barrier on a roadway that has a concrete divide. And I said, if it's the wheel bearing, that noise will go out, hit that barrier, and come back at you like a speaker. I said, and then what you do is vary your speed. Slow down a little, speed up a little, hit the brakes a little, turn the wheel a little. I said, if you can induce that through any of that, then that's what we're looking at. I said, now, it's not something I'm going to be able to do quickly when I go down there for the wedding. I'm not going to be able to bring all the tools. Because truthfully, the cars, and Kenny talks about this on his channel. He just did this last week. The cars up here in the Northeast, wheel bearings are particularly hard sometimes because the bearing is on the splined axle shaft. Sure. And I showed him the pictures of the one I changed on her car, and those splines were all rusted. I fought like hell to get that bearing off.
Oh, I'm sure.
The cars in the South, Kenny was saying, the cars I get that are local to me in North Carolina, he says, the bearings will pull right off because they never had the salt air, salt water or whatever.
Right.
So that's, it's a Northeast car. That one could be tough. So yeah, noises.
You want to strike fear in my heart, tell me that the rear bearings on my Explorer are bad because they would not come out.
Yeah, rears can be even worse.
I had to buy the whole yoke assembly plus the bearing to put the whole thing together. Yeah, they would not come out.
Well, I'll tell you what, you were talking before about, where you were surprised with doing the job. What the heck were you talking about? The clips. I worked on something this week too that kind of did the same thing where I had a parts explosion, and then of course I couldn't find the part. And I'll show you the part I was working on after we do our bottom of the hour break.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have it with me. But we are at the bottom of the hour, so let me say that this show, your WHPC weather forecast, is powered by Pantano's Gourmet with locations in Hewlett and Uniondale. And today's weather, it's beautiful. It's a mix of sun and clouds, high of 60. Tonight's going to be cloudy, low of 39. Tomorrow's supposed to be back in the 50s. We're up and down. We're in the mid-50s now it's not as nice as it was during last week. So I should have. You know what? I'm a little remiss. I'm a little backed up here. Now I feel like Rob doing this like as it happens. I have
you and I both. I'm lighting up the honor group. So I'm like, keep talking, Ray, because I have the honor group.
All right, good, because I got a cross read. All right, Fridays at 11. Like you'll remember that from Sunday. Hidden Gems. If you're tired of mainstream music like Chris is, like we're not playing on our show today, check out Hidden Gems for newly released music from up-and-coming hip-hop, R&B, and pop artists. Pop artists. Say that without a pop filter, right? While also playing some hits you may have missed. You might just find your new favorite artist or song on Hidden Gems on this station Fridays at 11 p.m. So that's
good.
So do we have an honor group of the hour? Have you found it?
Yes, we do. It just popped up on my computer screen.
How convenient.
Yes, the Motormouth Radio honor group of the hour this week. If you are concerned with the way your car smells, the scent from the coffee run you made for your work buddies yesterday morning mixed in with the smell of the pepperoni pizza you brought home for the family that night kind of bothers you a bit. Doesn't help that the smell is mixed with the smell of oils, gasoline, and other toxic flammable liquids residing in the garage where you keep the car overnight and every night. Does the fragrant scent of a half a dozen Christmas tree air fresheners hanging from the emergency brake pedal blend terribly with the rest of the smells? Well, if you're thinking twice about driving through the hot summer days, sweating out in your tank top, t-shirt, all over that velour interior of your Monte Carlo SS, you have that picture painted in your mind, then you are part of the Motormouth Radio honor group of the hour.
Nice.
There you go.
So things like that and things like we talk about, it's sometimes you say, people say, hey, we look at this stuff through a set of rose-tinted glasses, when so what better thing to talk about than Rose Tint My World here at the bottom of the hour while we enjoy some a little bit of a break. And we'll be back with more Motormouth Radio on 90.3 WHPC. Put the glasses on, Chris.
Dennis Pitzenberger from Sticker Shock, and if you're not listening to Motormouth Radio, boy, you are lost in the smoke of the burnout. Make sure to tune in each and every week because these guys are exactly what you want to hear. Real car guys, real talk, every single weekend.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar Lifetime Nationwide Warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
You're listening to the Motor Mouth.
What are we talking about? This is a car show.
Finally, I got through after 2.5 weeks.
Thanks a lot, guys. You're the best, man.
Motor Mouth.
Is this the radio program where automotive enthusiasts can be spoken down to?
Are we on the air now?
I turned on PMN and I heard you guys on there.
Motor Mouth.
You guys are really getting around, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's great. You guys handle it pretty well, too. I just was listening through the computer.
On the download, the motormouthradio.com website.
I did get to see the GTO.
Motor Mouth.
You know, I didn't know if it really existed or not, or if it was a figment of Ray's imagination.
No problem. Great show, guys. I've been listening to you guys for many years. Love your show, and this is about the 5th time I've actually got the nerve up to call.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
Well, you guys are the tech experts, not me.
Is it the jerk who, like all the other jerks who listen to the
this show?
You guys are so easy to play along.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
This was wonderful. I think it's the second time I've ever been on a radio, and I'm liking it.
Yeah, I want to know what is wrong with my car.
You guys are hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like I need to talk to an attorney and a policeman when I talk to you guys.
Vote him out.
I listen to Car Talk as well.
Try to beer. Sounds like a lot of fun.
You know, like after calling you guys, I'm probably going to blow out another brake line or two in the next week.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
Motormouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
Vote him out.
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motor Mouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
To Fair Ray, that delicate.
Well, you might not. You may have learned about Fay Ray if you listen to this show enough. You never know. But that was, believe it or not, Rose Tint My World from Rocky Horror. You're back with the Motor Mouths, Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer. We are having a ball listening to old promos and doing some fun stuff here. And whatever,
those are so funny.
Whatever it takes to make the day go
so
through,
much
right?
Fun. I just got a text from Joe the Undertaker at 203-670-4127. He says it reminded him of the story of the assembly line worker leaving a beer can in the door panel.
Yeah.
Rocking back and forth. And yeah, there have been times where stuff like that has happened, where on the assembly line tools have been left in vehicles, and just to
on the operating table too, by the way.
Ooh, see.
I've actually, there's a couple of channels I watch on YouTube that are videos that people send in, that crazy things that happened with cars. Just Rolled In is one of them, and there's another one, some compilations. And a lot of times the customer will say, yeah, there's this knocking noise only when I make a turn, and the guy will go back and like open the trunk, and like in the spare tire well, there's no tire, but there's a golf ball. So you would just roll back, or it'll be under the back seat or something like that. So sometimes the stupidest thing, you don't expect it, and it gets you.
Mm-hmm. So it sure does.
I had a sproing moment. Right?
Really?
I did.
Sounds like a personal problem, Ray.
It is.
You had a sproing moment.
I was changing one of these.
What in the world is that?
Do you know what that is?
That looks like some assembly off that's steering wheel.
Yes, this is the directional switch assembly for my Pontiac. This is the one that I told you. This is an original.
Wow, that looks pretty complicated for a 55, 60-year-old car.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. It's kind of. What would happen is the directional, the cam on there is plastic, so it didn't break. It looks absolutely perfect, but when you make a right turn, the directional will release. When you make a left turn, it doesn't, because the plastic weakened. And
I have the same problem. I have the same problem in the Chrysler. Yeah.
So later on into the 70s, what GM had done was they put. There was a cam, but they put these metal springs. It's just a wire wound spring in there, and they would go bad. So of course I have those at home. No, with this in 65, it was a unit by a company called Boyne, and the cams are plastic.
So you mean a company that incorporates springs is called Boyne?
Boyne, yeah, Boyne. So it was
Boyne.
Well, no, that's what happened, because when I had to change that, of course, you have to take the steering wheel off and the horn assembly, and there was a long spring that goes into the horn button that you have to put back in, and it never goes in the first time. There's always a problem, and of course, at one of them, the little retainer let go and went boing, and the spring went flying somewhere. Where? I don't know.
The abyss.
So I looked around, didn't find it. Said, yeah, I'll find this next month, when I'm doing something else. So I happen to have a selection of those. It's like a spring that you'd find in a pen. It's about that length and that diameter.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's the horn button is supposed to hit the steering wheel and basically just press up against it.
Right.
So, and it needs a spring to do that. Yeah.
So I have a selection, a plastic case of all of those types of springs, from smaller up to larger, and I found one that would fit and put that in.
Of course you do.
Yes, I do. And
I would have just opened up an old pen.
Well, that would be the I've done that in the past. Well, of course, at try number 2, boing, number 2, gone. I was like, all right, now I'm on to number 3, and that's where I kind of left it. I have to get back to that later on, but yeah, so that was my boing moment. It was, I hate when that happens. But I didn't get shocked. I didn't yell. It's like, I expected this to happen. That's exactly what I expected to happen.
Exactly,
and it did. It's like, that's one of those things, once it's together, you don't want to touch it
anymore.
And I didn't, and I finally bought this thing, and I guess like I said a while ago, I had actually bought 2 of them. I back in December, I think it was November, December, I said, fine, I'm going to buy the thing, because the price had been going up. And I said, I'm buying it. And then I was in the garage, and I noticed the assembly in a white box. I said, wait a minute, what is this box empty? And I opened it and said, no, it's a brand new directional assembly. I'm like, didn't I just see one downstairs yesterday?
You bought one already?
I bought them twice, within a month of each other. Within a month. Yeah, I didn't wait a year. Within a month, I bought 2 of them, not remembering I bought the first one. So listen, Alzheimer's Anonymous.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
I was thinking it,
yeah,
but I didn't say it.
Well, at least what I saw, what I did, I knew what I did. So of course I returned one, had to pay the shipping to return it, and they said, "All right, silly me, but what are you gonna do, right?" So now I finally said, "Hey, it was a nice day. It was Friday." I said, "Yeah, let me do this. Let me attack this and change this part because I want to get this in the car." And there you go. So
where are you now? Is the steering wheel back on the car or no?
No, I'm back at that point. What happened is there's a plastic bushing. There's the steering wheel adapter, which is an aluminum piece with the spline for the steering shaft.
Right.
And that's what the horn wire comes through. And there's a boss that's milled out, and it's a plastic bushing that sits in there. And the pressure of the plastic bushing holds it into that boss.
Okay.
But the problem was, after I had done this, when I put that wheel on a couple times, the plastic bushing had already gotten a little mangled. So I had to make a new one. I took an insulator off the back of an alternator because it had a little, and I actually, on the belt sander, I got it down where I could make it fit. So that's where I left it Friday because it was the end of the day. I had other stuff to do, and I didn't get out there yesterday because we had this party. So maybe tomorrow I'll get out there again, or maybe this afternoon. Who knows? We'll see.
I totally understand when you're working on one problem and then like 3 other problems arise. The reason why I was working on a leak on the Explorer was because I was trying to figure out why the rear windows in my car will not go down with the switch on the door.
Right. I remember you saying that,
each individual door in the back. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, cop car, of course. On the driver's door, it works just fine.
They're not allowed to.
The gang switch, that works fine. But if you get in the back of the car and hit the button, no, the window does not go down.
Right.
So, of course, I do research on it, found out that there's a harness that runs along the bottom of the driver's side, and on that harness, there's a gray plug together that when you undo it, that's what happens. Those windows will now no longer work. So you don't have to worry about the switch because you have a lockout switch on the driver's door power window assembly. So, of course, that switch now does nothing because you've unplugged it. Well, at least the department, wherever the car was, unplugged it. So, of course, I go to take it all apart to flip the mat over to see where to access the plug, and it's a leak in there.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what in the world? And this is the bad side of having a rubber mat as a floorboard. Because it doesn't, you don't know if it gets wet under there because, of course, it's rubber. So how are you going to know if you got a leak under your feet?
Sure.
So that's what I had to do. I had to pull the whole thing aside, get in there, try and fix that. So the window switch issue went sideways.
Yeah, it's secondary.
Yeah, so now I have the car literally in pieces, the interior's in pieces. I have the mat flopped over so at least it'll air dry because I'm not taking this thing out to dry it completely. So I left it like that. So you can't drive the Explorer now.
Mm-hmm. On the cop car that I had bought a number of years ago, the same thing. The windows were disconnected. And I wanted to see because I was thinking about maybe using one of the motors if they were good. And the guys in Nassau County were not as nice as the guys up from wherever you got your car from, because mine, I found a wiring and it was just cut. They just cut the wire. Said, okay, it won't work now.
Yeah, well, that's where I think I am now, because I noticed as I was looking around, the plug is plugged in.
Oh, boy. Yeah, there you go.
So I'm like, someone cut something somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at the door. I mean, pull the door panel. That's the most likely place.
Well,
unless they did it in the between the door and the.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So I got to go fishing through there,
right?
Because I went and I was actually thinking of Obi Don Canoli, our own illustrious Joe D, because I took the old test light and I just checked the clip from either side, and it's got power going to it.
Right.
So
I was talking to Joe this week. Because the problem I was having with the Jeep at the shop that I haven't resolved yet, the radio, I ran it by Joe and he was biting into it and he actually wants to, he's seething. I can see it through his text. He's seething. He wants to come down. He goes, he said, "Are you at the shop today?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm at the supermarket there." I mean, like, I want to come down. Like, he's dying. So I think I'm going to get him down there, let him get his hands dirty and play around a little bit. And
yeah, why not?
I had ordered some parts from the Jeep place in Connecticut. We're not going to be making a trip there. The guy is shipping them that I need. So he's sending me the steering wheel and all the horn components. And of course I told the guy, I said, send me. I said, I don't really need everything. I have the metal cup. I said, but it's kind of rusty. He goes, they're all rusty. I said, you know what? Then send everything. Just send me everything and I'll use the best of the best. So good place. Wow. Nice Jeep junkyard if you need one.
Oh yeah. That's something I would love to go rummaging through. Just any junkyard. There are no junkyards up here that within, I would say, an hour and a half of where I'm sitting right now. There's not a single junkyard.
Yeah.
At least nothing that's worth exploring. There's 2 junkyards, I think, down in Norwalk, but they're like supermarkets. You need a door, here's a door. You need a trunk lid, here's a trunk lid. It's not like they got cars scattered around because they can't. They don't have the room for it. They don't have the ability to just drop a car there and leave it there for you to pick a part off of.
Right.
It's not that type of place. It's like a disassembler, and then they line up doors and line up trunks, just the way it was like in Brooklyn when I was a young man going to. There used to be places where where you could pick cars apart.
Yeah.
But since the value of land got more expensive,
and it's all liability too. I remember when they stopped doing that because it's the liability. Some knuckleheads got hurt. It's like, you dope. Don't you have to take parts of a car getting mangling yourself? No, some guys.
Job.
I know.
Obviously, that was part of the joy. That was the adventure, not to get hurt. And if you got hurt, you got hurt. What's the big deal?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Walk it off.
Walk it off, exactly.
So we'll see. That one, I did a little more research, and I talked to the guy at the Jeep place. I said, "Hey, Paul," I said, "let me run something by you." I said, "Now that we got the easy stuff out of the way." I said, "I got this problem." He goes, "Well, what kind of problem you got, Ray?" I said,
You told him about the spring problem, too?
No, that didn't happen yet. I said, I spoke to him earlier in the week. I said, I got the radio on in this thing. It's an aftermarket unit, works fine. Turn the lights on, and boom, the radio dies. I said, turn the lights back off. The radio works. He goes, he says, "I've actually heard of that before." I said,
"No way."
I said, "This is what I was hoping to hear." I said, "Okay, so enlighten me. What's the deal?" He goes, "Oh, I have no idea what caused it." He goes, "But I've heard of it." He goes, "I've heard of some really crazy things you wouldn't believe." I'm like, "Try me." Try me. I said, I do a radio show. You're not going to. So I got no help from him, but he says, no, he did reaffirm what Joe had found or what I had found, where there was a lighting control module in the Jeep that's worked with the factory radio to dim the lights when you dim the radio when you turn the lights on. So that's one contention. That's one spot right there that we got to look at and maybe just sidestep. But I told him, I said, "Hey, I went through a separate power source and then went right from the battery, and it still did it." And he's like, "Huh." I'm like, "That's kind of the noise I made." I was like, "Huh." He's like, "Oh boy, now it's interesting." So we'll see.
Noises show
to be determined, to be played with more, and we'll see what we can figure out.
Now, there's an aftermarket radio in that car, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this during the week, and I was figuring if you pull the radio and just hook up another radio, just a loosey-goosey, just leave it on the passenger seat and see if it does the same thing, if it's so you can get the radio out of the equation.
Well, that's what Ronnie at the shop said. He saw me. I was walking around that one day, and I was like kind of walking it off. He said, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" I said, "This is what's the matter." I said, you turn the lights on. He goes, "Don't we got a spare radio around here?" I'm like, "No." He goes, shops always have spare radios. I said, "Well, used to." I said, "We don't have them here now." I said, "No, otherwise, So, I may have to dig something up and see what I can find. But you're right.
I was going to say, you don't have a spare radio in your debris?
Probably. The problem is the newer radios that you get are, there's so much wiring involved in them. There's a lot of wiring. I need something just simple, like an original old Stalker,
Right, an old Sparkomatic or something like that.
Yeah.
I must admit, the ones that I've had around here have one by one been getting picked clean on eBay.
Right.
Because I just throw them on eBay, and I'm like, look, I don't know if it works. Here you go.
Right.
The history on this is lost.
Right.
Here you go.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
Put it up for a couple of bucks and see it walk away.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thinking, I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't think I have one.
I have a bunch of radios out in the shed. I remember I lent them to Joe when he was doing that Franny Lou movie. They had a replicated stereo store, but it's I have a lot of old Blaupunk stuff. And I have to test it and see if it works.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. So, we'll see. I got to drill down and play around. But then, of course, there's always other projects coming in and out and, other things happening all the time. So it's a matter of keeping track of it all, which can be hard. But now, just nice to be outside again where it's nice enough. You'll get that way in a couple of weeks. It's a little behind us. You'll see in a few weeks.
Snow on the ground.
Yeah, in a few weeks, it's going to be real nice outside. Trust me. I put my canopy back up on the deck. I'm like, now it feels like, now it's starting to feel like. And I told my wife this the other day. I said, we were out during the week and it was like 70-something degrees. It was a beautiful day. And I said, you got to start now. A day like this, you got to go out and put the yard gnome out, or you got to do something now, because what happens is we will typically have now a couple of months of unknowing weather. It'll be cold again. We'll have some rain. We've had April snow showers. We've had that.
Yes, we have. I remember.
Sometimes it's not nice until the end of May or June. And, now the summer is summer's coming up, but it's whittling away. And that time you have when it's nice goes fast. So I said, you got to start early. Days like this, you got to be out. So I've been outside already, hanging, just sitting in the garage. I'll put my feet up on a bench. I got the music on. I've got a cigar going. I got my beverage of choice. And I'll just sit there for a couple hours and just say, okay, you get the fresh air going. It's nice. Look at the junk. Hey, it's cool garage junk.
The junk you got to move eventually?
I should start packing some of this junk up. Yeah, I do that. I do. I said, but when I pack it up, where am I going to put it? It's got to go somewhere. Where am I going to put it? I don't have room.
Yeah. Got to start shipping it down there now.
we thought of a couple options of what to do, and none of them are real easy, because you say, you're going to get a storage facility, but then you may end up in another area. So
well, here's just a nickel's worth of free advice.
Yeah, sure.
Anything that you see that you look up and go, that's got to go. Take it and sell it.
Yeah.
Put it on eBay and sell it. I know that's basically what I did when I moved unfortunately from Brooklyn up here, that a year before I was putting stuff up for sale and just let it go. So I didn't have to move it.
Yeah, you got me thinking. I got to find that one Riviera owner that wants to do an interior switch over, because, man, can I help that guy out?
You sure can.
And that would really relieve a lot of stuff in one shot.
To have a console, a whole console and steering column assembly, and the seats too, right?
And the shifter.
And
the non-column shifted column with the steering wheel. And I was in there looking for I thought I had a new directional lever for the Pontiac, and I did, but I bought them for the tilt wheel that I have, so I can't use them in my wheel. So when I was looking for that in the garage, what I found was a key, lock and key assembly with 2 GM keys in it with a tag that says Riv. So I got another lock and key assembly for the Riviera. Plus, don't forget, I have the back window for that car, and I have the 1-year only gas tank for that car sitting behind my garage.
Yeah, exactly. And that stuff is doing you a world of good right now.
5 or 6 chrome 15-inch Riviera mag wheels. The rims.
It's doing you a world of good.
No, I know.
Get rid of them.
I know. I want to buy another Riviera. I got to buy a Riviera. That's what you just figured it out for me. Now I know what I got to do.
My 71 was I loved it. It was triple black, and but it was a column shift car with a bench seat.
Yeah.
So I would have jumped at that. Would have totally jumped at
someone like you would. See, other guys are like, they're cool with the bench seat and the car. They don't really say, hey, it's a Riviera. Yeah, what am I going to do? It's nice. Yeah, I get my girl. I put my arm around her.
I would have taken the buckets in the console any day on that car. Any day.
And I don't know who the stylist was. You would probably know who styled that car.
David Halls was the lead stylist on that.
Well, he was a masochistic mother effer, that guy, because the beautiful dash that wraps around, which was a precursor to the Grand Prix and the Monte Carlos and the Camaros and all. Yeah. Great, beautiful, very cockpit styling.
Driver command. That's what they called it. They introduced it in the Grand Prix in '69.
Even the radio was up there, up right there in the right quadrant facing the driver, so the passenger couldn't be. They'd have to reach over and around, like, smack their hand. Get away from that radio. But no. But the thing that was the masochistic part was the console, full-length console, with a with an armrest storage place. But the front part of the console between the shifter and under the dash is angled. So you're not putting a cup of coffee there. You're not putting a soda there. You're not putting an ashtray there. You're not putting nothing there, because you put it there, it's going to fall down on the floor at your feet. Sure. So even though it had some style effect to it, it was like, you useless hunk of crap. Right after that, I had my Challenger, which had that flat console, and I was able to put stuff in that one. That was a lot nicer. My Pontiac has a flat console too. So
right.
And not that I put stuff there all the time. It's just nice to know that I can if I want to.
Yeah, for some reason GM spent a good part of their time angling those pieces.
Now my Monte Carlo didn't have. I had a 73, did not have an angled console. It had like my Impala SS. It had a compartment in the front, an open compartment where you could put stuff, and then you had the shift quadrant, then you had the armrest. So
I always think it's because of complaints. People complain about stuff like that, and then next thing you know, it's remedied. They're making them flat because of crazy individuals like you that need a place to put their coffee while they comb their hair, using their mustache comb.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got the remedy for that. We're done. We're out of here. We're gonna go. Kim is in. So stay tuned for the Best of Springsteen. Thunder Road, Best of Springsteen in the band, as I know you will, because you love her show more than ours. And we'll be back next week. I don't know if we have a guest or not. We might, because sometimes they come in, sometimes they come out. Chris, what do we tell the people that are invariably waiting for me to make corned beef in the parking lot?
Don't follow us home, and have a very safe, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Right. Back next week on Motormouth Radio, 90.3 WHPC. See ya.
See you, bye.